Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey, check out our brand new sponsor, Dynamic Solutions 2. That's the number 2. They offer a life-changing, dynamic financial solution. The finest in fast, professional, affordable credit repair. Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. They have affordable monthly prices. They accept Visa, MasterCard, PayPal options available. You go to www.dynamicsolutions, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions. 424-888-2820. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. You get a 10% discount.
Hey, you, podcast listener. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
But now, if the function of these serial killers was to create a blood sacrifice, okay, let's say to Satan, right, or whatever these people worship. Now, wouldn't that same function be carried out by these school shootings, or do you subscribe to the theory that these school shootings are fake and false flags and crisis actors?
The most recent ones, really, I mean, we seem to have undergone a fundamental change since Sandy Hook. And I unfortunately did not look very deeply into that when it happened because I was busy doing all the stuff that I had to do to convert my series of web posts into something resembling a book. And, I was obviously aware of it when it happened, but I really barely looked. I was just kind of looked up at the TV and, more of the same. Okay, well, it's kids this time, but other than that, it's just, and it wasn't until much, much later that I started hearing and seeing these, all this talk of crisis actors, which at first I thought was ridiculous. And then, but then after Boston and the Woolwich incident, I had to, definitely had to take a second look at what these people were saying. But prior to that, I never saw any evidence of that kind of fakery. And they seem to, basically, they're very ritualized kind of, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's certainly a component, to the extent that the victims are real. But anymore, it's getting harder and harder to determine what is real and what isn't. What's your take on it?
Good question. I didn't investigate Sandy Hook that much either when I first came out, but when you watch some of the videos on YouTube, there's some very bizarre circumstances around that with obvious actors who are rehearsing and aerial photography of people just walking around in this big giant circle. Bizarre.
It is really bizarre. Yeah, it's
and the Boston bombing, okay. Again, on the one hand, you have people spotting all these actors and fake blood and all this and shenanigans going on for sure, and the suspects here. But on the other hand, you got FBI agents being thrown out of helicopters and people witnesses being shot. So something's going on. And then you got that weird CIA guy, Russelin, who is the uncle of these boys.
That's all just. The killing of the cop, was seriously suspicious and they couldn't even keep the story straight on how that even happened. Supposedly, the Sean Collier or whatever his name was,
right?
Supposedly gunned down in his car or something. And there definitely seems to have been some witnesses silenced. The kid that the FBI shot in his own apartment, that was a little beyond dubious. That one is very hard not to look at that one as just a summary execution, really. And, the uncle, the whole thing is just bizarre on so many levels,
Yeah, disturbing, and then even that the finish line was like right out in front of some Masonic temple. How bad can you get?
But as far as I know, before Sandy Hook, the death and devastation was very real. At places like Littleton and whatnot. They do have they definitely had very ritualistic elements to them. And what they're doing now, I don't know. That's a whole nother. It's getting very strange out there, and harder and harder to differentiate reality from, it's difficult to know whether you're watching something that's billed as entertainment or you're watching the news. You just don't know what's real and what's not anymore.
Have you ever looked into the videos on YouTube of Dallas Goldbug?
That name rings a bell. I can't quite place it at the moment.
He pretty much a lot of his
claims like there's like 6 actors that have played everyone in history or something.
Yeah. He's there's a lot of disinfo in there for sure. But he stumbled on some stuff that has credibility. First of all, that whole Phoenix Tucson shooting of the judge and stuff like that. That seems to be a whole staged event. But he also has some videos on some of his early videos up where he shows obviously staged scenes at Occupy Wall Street.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, where they signal the camera. Yeah.
The Giffords and Lochner thing, that was she made a miraculous recovery. You got it for taking a bullet to the head, man.
I'm very impressed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like those the amputees in Boston.
Right.
They were out of the hospital and walking around in seemingly in hours. So these people definitely do recover. I had never even considered the possibility that might have been, but I can't really rule out anything without looking into it myself these days.
Right.
It's I don't know.
Well, that might be a good segue. We talk about Occupy Wall Street because I know one of your theories is that even the Weather Underground and that whole hippie revolution kind of thing was also some kind of psyop staged kind of event.
I'm not sure about the Weather Underground. I think the Symbionese Liberation Army certainly was the Patty Hearst kidnapping and all that. And, I kind of view the SLA and the Charles Manson thing is kind of bosom buddies, so in a way, and the Manson was kind of meant to discredit the more communal hippie type existence, and while the SLA was meant to discredit the more militant, branches like the SDS and Weather Underground. But then there's the question of whether any of those movements were legitimate, even to begin with, or whether they were manufactured and they'd outlived their usefulness and they wanted to kill them off. It's a lot of gray area there.
Or you might find it interesting that I had Mark Rudd on my show, who was a founder of the Weather Underground, and he came out of the SDS. And oh yeah, you might want to listen to that interview because your name came up. Okay, I couldn't. Oh yeah, I brought it up. I couldn't resist. And I was asking him different things about, hey, was there COINTELPRO? Did you see any infiltrators? Did you notice anything suspicious going on? And he said, no, nothing at all. And he's an interesting guy. Mark Rudd. One of my most interesting guests, because, he's changed his tune. He didn't serve any prison time, for his crimes there. The theory is that he got out of any prosecution because the FBI and COINTELPRO had broken so many laws, kidnapping people and stuff like that they couldn't press charges and get charges against him. So, okay, that's possible. So I'm talking to him and I said, well, do you know about Dave McGowan and his book about, Laurel Canyon and his theory that, that the whole thing could have been staged. It was kind of a psyop kind of operation, because that's what I thought your opinion was. And he said, yeah, he heard of you and he read your book.
Oh, really?
Really?
Wow.
And if you, yeah, I know, which is he's a smart guy. Yeah.
No, I'm constantly learning that, people know about me that I would have had, had no inclination would have ever even heard of me, but apparently some people have that. Yeah. So
well, I know the feeling because when I was talking to Hank Harriman about coming on the show, he says, "Oh yeah, I've heard of you. I listened to your show." So it's kind of weird, man.
Wow.
But the answer, yeah, go ahead.
Something completely unrelated. I'm just very curious because this is one case that I've been back and forth on a number of times over the years, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with it. But what do you think of the Jeffrey MacDonald case, the infamous Jeffrey MacDonald case?
Yeah, I you know what? I'm back and forth on it because it's one of those cases, just like JFK and Charles Manson, where there's so many people into it and there's so much disinfo on both sides going back and forth that I know. Yeah.
Is, I mean, McDonald himself seems pretty shady, but then again, so does the guy who wrote the book that basically convicted him in the public mind. What was his name? Joe McGinnis, I think it was. Seriously sketchy character there. So, yeah, I that's a weird one. I mean,
it seems like after every one of these events, they come out with a book, and so the official story, like with the Jonestown, Guyana, they come up with this made-for-TV movie right away, and that's the official story from then on. And that
was McGinn. Yeah, Fatal Vision. Yeah, it was not only a huge best-selling book, but they almost immediately made it into like a movie of the week or something, didn't they?
Yeah, right. Now, who was the lawyer in that? Was it Philly Bailey or the other guy from the Stones? It
was someone pretty high profile, but I couldn't tell you.
I'd have to refresh my memory on that whole thing, but you're right. It's another one of those, and I thought about I probably will do a show on that, because I'm trying to do shows on all the big events.
That was the same year. I mean, that was right after the Manson killings, and because basically it tried to portray it, according to McDonald's version of the story, that it was a Manson-esque band of hippies, that came in and did it, inspired by Manson, presumably. So that was very shortly after the Manson murders, wasn't it? Probably like in the early 70s.
Yeah, it was right after. Yeah. But again, I think it was on a military base too, in a military house. Yeah.
I think, and it was. That's that adds a whole nother dimension to it. Yeah, was it Fort in North Carolina, right? Fort Bragg in North Carolina or something like that, I think.
Oh, that's interesting because now we got Fort Bragg. They're still doing shootings over there. They're doing the other kind now.
Yeah, I could be wrong about it. It's been a long time since I looked into it, but I think that was where it happened. But anyway,
that would be a good one to look into. Now, let me ask you a question too. Now, is it true that in Program to Kill, I don't want to mention that the specific motorcycle gang, but that a nationwide motorcycle gang, very well known, that sort of weaves a thread through a lot of these murders as well?
Not a huge amount. I mean, Charlie Manson was definitely connected to a lot of the motorcycle gangs of the late '60s. He had numerous connections and
Bay Area.
Bay Area and in the LA area. Yeah.
All right, we got a break coming up. We'll be right back after this with Dave McGowan, one of my favorite guests, man. The guy is an encyclopedia of knowledge. Check out his book, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. You can get it on his website, which is one guy booing there. Okay, welcome back to the Opman Report every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, listener-sponsored radio. If you like what you hear, visit freedomslips.com, click on the donate button to support the station. And we're rebroadcast every Monday night, 6 p.m. on awakeradio.us. Hey, I want to remind everybody about our new sponsor, Pacific West Bamboo, #1 source for timber construction and craft-grade bamboo poles. You need bamboo poles? Go to Pacific West Bamboo. They specialize in eco-friendly reclaimed wood products for the home and garden. Even the garage. Located in Portland, Oregon, servicing the Northwest for over 10 years. A new website to launch on Monday. They can be reached at 503-839-8126. That's 503-839-8126. Their Facebook page is Pacific West Bamboo, and you can email them at demroots@oppermail.com, and they ship nationwide, okay? And then we're here tonight with Dave McGowan, author of Weird Scene Inside the Canyon and Program to Kill. We've been talking about Program to Kill. We left off about the motorcycle gangs, but I got some other stuff I want to hit him with because I love everything he talks about. Dave.
By the way, I've used bamboo flooring products. I mentioned that I'm a general contractor. That stuff is stuff wears like iron.
Right.
Stuff is tough. Very, it's very, very, and beautiful too. I mean, some of the, it's really nice looking stuff. But anyway,
it's supposed to be good for the ecology too, which I believe is
doable. I mean, bamboo is basically a grass. I don't know if people realize that. Yeah, it's a grass. It's
so you want to stop out global warming? Visit Pacific West Bamboo. Let me ask you a question, okay? Because we got to end global warming. We got to. What do you got? I got a guest coming up. We're going to be doing Roy Radin, the Cotton Club, Bob Evans, and the Cotton Club murders and all of that story, man. Are you familiar with that story?
Yeah. You having Maury Terry on or?
Oh, man. Well, right now, you know what? Maury Terry right now this week, and I'll tell you what he's doing. He's down in New York City with a bunch of friends of mine, with Russ Dizdar and Jim Rothstein are down there, and Dale Griffiths from the West Memphis 3 case. He testified as a cult expert down there. And they're down in New York City right now. I was invited to go, but I couldn't make it. And they're visiting all the crime scenes and all the scenes of the occult activity down there in New York City. Maury Terry's taking them on a tour, a private tour. And now a word from our sponsors. My sound man, Shane McKay, has his business called MacSoundServices.com. That's MACK soundservices.com. What he does for me is I send him my shows, and he does audio enhancements and stuff like that. He does miracles if you see some of the stuff I send him and how it comes back. So get a hold of Shane at MacSoundServices.com. MACK soundservices.com.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Tina Helmuth is writing an ongoing series of fact-fiction books that boldly takes on today's most heinous crimes, the abduction, sexual trafficking, and cannibalization of our children. Suffer the Little Children, The Wrath of the Father, and Unbreakable. Deeply researched and mixed with the supernatural, good versus evil makes these thrillers hard to put down, shining a light on the root cause of these crimes and introducing a spiritual solution. Justice will be served. Available at lulu.com in paperback or ebook.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
And they're visiting all the crime scenes and all the scenes of the occult activity down there in New York City. Maury Terry's taking them on a tour, a private tour. And they're visiting scenes and they're praying over these scenes and stuff like that. And I tried everything I could to get down there. But I have Maury Terry. I've reached out to him and I want to try and get him on as well as Dale Griffiths. But I got
I've heard he's a rather elusive guy these days.
Yeah, after the because he kind of got beat down after the little Lisa Steinberg case. And Hedda Nussbaum, who walked away from that case without any charges at all, became a hero of domestic violence, while Joel Steinberg went to prison for a very short sentence, man, only about 20 years. But Maury Terry exposed that little Lisa Steinberg was taken to Roy Radin's house.
I'm not even familiar with that case, actually.
It was a huge case in New York City where this little girl was beaten to death by Joel Steinberg, a bail bonds. No, he was a lawyer. In New York City, he was on coke and meth and stuff like that. And he beat Hedda Nussbaum. Her face was like hamburger meat. He beat her so bad. And she got away with everything. But in her diary, she admits to taking little Lisa Steinberg to that Process Church headquarters at Roy Radin's house at his mansion, where I had friends that went to parties at that mansion, so I know what went on over there. And they took pictures of her over there, and this was in her diary.
Yeah, that's he didn't cover that in Ultimate Evil, did he? I don't remember.
No, but he did.
Some later that was kind of the fallout from that, or
he did. When this was in the news in New York City, he did all the talk shows, and he came out and said, "Hey guys, this is connected to my book Ultimate Evil and that same Process Church cult and Roy Radin's house because it was in Hedda Nussbaum's diary." Yeah, you got to look into that one. It's a powerful one. And I got all the in fact I VHS. I taped it when it was the trial was live.
Huh. Yeah, that one just completely escaped my attention out here on the West Coast. It must not have gotten too much coverage at all out here.
Well, the Cotton Club murder though, that was on the West Coast. What do you got on that?
The Cotton Club, I mean, basically what I know is what I've gotten primarily from Maury Terry's work, and that what was in Menser, and yeah, I mean, I don't know really anything beyond what I've read there, and that it appeared to have been a hit Radin murder was a hit, carried out by Larry Flint's bodyguards, right?
Right.
Who were connected to some limo company or something. And, the guy that Terry originally referred to as Manson 2 or something, who was this guy Menser, who was connected to the Laurel Canyon scene. Apparently was one of the visitors to Cass Elliott's home, along with other, very shady characters, to say the least. Mama Cass had such a sordid collection of friends that, according to one published account, like several of the original prime suspects in the Manson murders were all members of Cass Elliott's inner circle.
Right.
she had all of these very shady, and she lived right across the road from two of the victims, Frykowski and Folger. And,
Scott Michaels in his video 6 Degrees of Helter Skelter says that Roman Polanski broke into Papa Phillips' house to get his address book because he wanted to compare the handwriting.
It's quite possible. I mean, they were very closely, they were very closely tied to it. So much so that John Phillips and Cass Elliott were both on the witness list.
Right, for Charles Manson.
But yeah, they were scheduled to be called as witnesses at the Charles Manson trial, and somehow they magically didn't get called. I don't know, they pulled some strings or whatever and kept their name out of it. So, to this day, a lot of people don't even know how closely associated they were with it. It's so ironic that, two of the bands that had the kind of the most squeaky clean images from that era, the Mamas and the Papas with, California Dreamin', and their music was kind of very, lighthearted and, very feel good kind of music. And the Beach Boys,
right,
who, had the really squeaky clean image, didn't look at all like any of the other Laurel Canyon, all-stars. I mean, you had these guys with very clean cut, short hair, all in like matching goofy uniforms and, whatnot. And, they just had that all American squeaky clean image. And yet those were the very people that were most closely connected to Manson and his followers, were Phillips, Cass Elliott, and Dennis Wilson, two of those three ended up dead under, very questionable circumstances in my mind, both Wilson and Elliott. And, I don't think that's a coincidence either. So yeah, they were all very deeply involved, very closely tied to both the people, the Manson people and the people, identified by Terry as being responsible for the Cotton Club murders.
Hey, so back to Manson 2, Mensker. What do you know about him? Because are you familiar with Alex Constantine's work where he connects him to as part of O.J. Simpson's drug dealing group?
I did not know that. No, I've read both of Constantine's early books, Virtual Government, and I don't remember what the other one was, and his Covert War on Rock. And haven't really heard much from, has he really, what's he doing now? Is he just publishing stuff on the web, or has he written any more? Because I haven't seen any more books or anything come out from him. Seems to be keeping a pretty low profile these days.
Yeah, he's a hero of mine. I used to follow him on news, alt, what was it called back in those days? Usenet. Alt O.J. Simpson and alt West Memphis 3. He was a prolific writer and all that stuff like that, exposing Colonel Aquino and he had a lot of work on O.J. He has a website now. I don't read as much as I used to follow his work back in the old days, but he did a lot of work on the O.J. case and connects O.J.'s coke dealing and Al Cowling's coke dealing, which is no doubt about that, to Mensker, that guy, Mensker again.
It's quite possible, because there was drug dealing was one of the main subtexts of both the Cotton Club and the Manson murders. I mean, most of these people were involved to varying degrees. It's alleged that Jay Sebring was trafficking drugs through his Sebring International Corporation. That was basically a front. And it's quite possible that that's true because one of his biggest investors, business partners, was John Phillips.
Oh, really?
Who later acknowledged that he was running a wholesale narcotics trafficking operation and went to prison for it.
But Robert Evans, the film producer of Godfather fame and all that stuff like that, and friends with Jack Nicholson, didn't Jack Nicholson and Robert Evans actually go and clean up the blood in Roman Polanski's house?
It's quite possible. I wouldn't doubt it, and Jack Nicholson was another Laurel Canyon character. To this day, he still, in fact, has his estate on Mulholland Drive, just right off the northern mouth of Laurel Canyon. So, he was a part of that whole scene as well.
And, he lived next door to Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he lived right next door. Well, he now owns both property. They had adjoining properties, and when Brando died, he bought his property and mowed it down and just tacked it onto his own. So he has this huge estate there now. But
oh wait, really? He mowed down Marlon Brando's house, and did he build another property over it?
Shortly after Brando died, Nicholson acquired the property and bulldozed the house because he said it was derelict. He said it was a derelict structure. I'm like, really? One of the richest guys in the history of Hollywood was living in a derelict structure?
Because meanwhile, that's a very interesting home in itself, where there was a murder in that home. Where
there was a lot of weirdness in that home. That's where his daughter's fiance got gunned down, and then
by Christian Brando, who was best buddies with Michael Jackson. Did you know that?
And also was connected to Bonnie Lee Bakley, who got killed by, or maybe did or didn't get killed by Robert Blake. And so there's just all kinds of interwoven murders, connected to Brando in that house. Right. Yeah. The daughter, who was supposed to testify against Christian, but Marlon had her institutionalized in like Tahiti, and then she supposedly hung herself or something, and then Christian Brando ended up dead at a very young age as well. So there was just a whole string of weird murders connected to that property, and Nicholson decided to just bulldoze it.
Yeah, the other Brando son was Michael Jackson's bodyguard for many, many years. And also, too, the home where Roman Polanski is guilty of that rape, that was in Jack Nicholson's home.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, right. Yeah. So
how do these guys get away with this?
Yeah, there was a lot of interconnected weirdness. Yeah, and like I said, a lot of these people seem to be involved in drug trafficking. It's been reported that Folger and Frykowski were trafficking drugs. Right across, like I said, right across from Mama Cass. And that dealers came and went from there all the time. Sebring, is quite possibly involved. So yeah, they're indicating, and the Manson family themselves, the perpetrators, were also involved in drug trafficking. So that seemed to have been the subtext for for that whole series of killings. So it wouldn't surprise me if one of the key characters from that Menser was also involved in some kind of trafficking operation with, Simpson and Cowling. It's
because even Manson had more money than people give him credit for. They had a lot of equipment up there. They had a lot of dune buggies and stuff, but he also worked out of an office. Manson worked out of an office called Star Entertainment, where they did prostitution.
Yeah, on like Sunset Boulevard or something. Yeah, it was like undercover of like a talent agency or something, and they were basically trafficking in girls. And he had his own. he had
an office.
Yeah, the image that most people have of him, is this kind of ne'er-do-well, grubby hippie with his band of followers that were like so poor that they had to dumpster dive for their meals and whatnot. And they attack these glamorous Hollywood people that were in a completely different social sphere, but the reality is that they had mutual friends. They traveled in the same circles. They probably most likely had run into each other, at places like, in places at Laurel Canyon that regularly held like open house, like Cass Elliot and John Phillips, who seem to have been closely connected to both victims and perpetrators. And there was a lot of indications that all of these people were involved to varying degrees in drug trafficking. So,
Manson came out of Boys Town, Father Flanagan's Boys Town. Author of Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, our guest tonight. Our Skype went down and the internet went down. So we've lost Dave, and I don't think we're going to be able to get him back before the show is over. But you can find Dave McGowan at his website, Center for an Informed America. And that's at www.davesweb.cnchost.com. And all his books that I definitely recommend to you, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon and Program to Kill and Understanding the F-Word, Derailing Democracy. I have a link to all those books on my website, The Opperman Report, on my blog that you can go online and you can find easily by Googling The Opperman Report. We also did a previous interview with Dave McGowan that I really want to recommend to you, where we went into totally all his observations and theories that he has on the weird scenes inside the canyon, Laurel Canyon, California, and that's available on the Opperman Report YouTube channel. So if you just go on the Opperman Report YouTube channel and just look for Dave McGowan, you'll find the two YouTube interviews with Dave, the one we did a few months back and the one we just did tonight. Okay, let's see what else is going on. I really want to thank a lot of people. We're doing a new, just joined awakeradio.us and awakeradio.com, and a lot of people there don't know me and who I am. My name is Ed Opperman. I'm a private investigator. I'm also a digital forensic investigator. I've been involved in some of the biggest news stories and cases in the past several years. I was on the Tiger Woods case. I was on that big Charlie Sheen case when we attacked my client Capri Anderson in that hotel room in New York. I investigated Ashton Kutcher, and I was part of a congressional investigation and a congressional hearing into Secret Service misbehavior that grew out of my investigation into Todd Palin and Todd Palin's involvement with my client, Shirley Tripp, who was an escort. She was a massage therapist in Alaska, and she took 5 polygraphs that proved she was truthful when she said that she had a relationship, a sexual relationship with Todd Palin. And so that's who I am. And you can find me every Friday night, 5 p.m. on freedomslips.com. And you can also find me 6 p.m. on awakeradio.us. I'm really happy to be here on Awake Radio on Monday nights. I'm really enjoying it so far. And one of the things is, too, is, because you keep hearing on my station breaks that, we're listener-sponsored and that we have no corporate sponsorship, so please donate to the station. That's my other station, freedomslips.com, and they do need support. They're listener-sponsored and they need donations. I'm sure Awake Radio does as well. But I also have my own personal sponsors that I bring on to help support the Opperman Report and the work we're trying to do here and the information we're trying to bring forward to you. Like, for instance, just this weekend, I was invited to go down to New York City by Maury Terry and Dale Griffiths and Russ Dizdar to go down and tour all these Son of Sam crime scenes and all the Process Church crime scenes and scenes of ritual activity down there that went on in New York City during the 70s during the Son of Sam case. And I've done a lot of work on this. I've interviewed Detective Jim Rothstein, who's now a mayor, and we discussed all the connections to the Process Church to a lot of different cult activities and murders throughout the country. And this is something we're working to expose. And if the Opperman Report had sponsors, besides the few little sponsors we have now, we'd be able to go there to New York and do this kind of work and bring you great content. We can bring you more books and more videos and more radio shows about this kind of work that we're doing. So now we got great sponsors. We got Pacific West Bamboo, and these are real people. This isn't a big giant corporation. These are real people who listen to the show and support the show. And they're up there in Pacific, Oregon, Portland, Oregon. And this is a company that's been around for 10 years. It's a real company. They're not selling you magic beans or diet tea or any kind of craziness. A lot of these shows you hear, it's horrible food and all this kind of craziness that people are selling on these kind of shows. These are real, legitimate businesses, okay? So like Pacific West Bamboo, and you can reach them at 503-839-8126. And if you're interested in sponsoring and advertising on the Opera Room Report, you get to come on the radio show live. You get to come on again Monday night. You go on our YouTube channel. You go on our blog, the Opera Room Report. You get links on there. You go on my Facebook channel, so you get a lot of exposure for a little bit of money. Now we have another sponsor, a brand new sponsor, and they're called Columbia Paranormal Investigations. You can find them on their Facebook website just by searching for Columbia Paranormal. Okay, their phone number is 573-489-5337. Okay, now their mission is to scientifically research paranormal activity and to find either explained phenomena or to otherwise explain the claim and disprove the phenomena. They'll be honest and open with you, with clients, and they maintain discretion. Okay, they're a team of professionals conducting investigations into possible paranormal activity. Investigations are done in complete confidence, and copies of reports are given at the end of each investigation. Now, these are licensed professional investigators in Columbia, Missouri. Columbia Paranormal. Now, get this. It's a free service. This is free service for the purpose of documenting paranormal activity, okay? They don't charge you a dime whether they find activity or not. Now, you can contact them at 573-489-5337. Their email is hjkrol59@yahoo.com. And it's called Columbia Paranormal. And you can find them on their Facebook page. So these are two great sponsors we got, Pacific West Bamboo, Columbia Paranormal. They see the vision we're trying to accomplish here, and they're supporting us. And we really appreciate them when we ask you to support them in any way that you can. I want to thank, too, the Opperman Report team that we have here working for you. Now, you hear me talking to you every week, but we have people behind the scenes who are putting in not even a 40-hour week, putting in more than 40 hours. My producer, Ann Francis, who works behind the scenes with me, almost 24 hours a day we work together on this kind of thing, booking guests, researching guests, everything you could imagine, editing, scheduling. This is a professional woman. She's an artist. She's a creative woman. She's an architect. But she donates her time to keep this show going. And her name is Ann Francis. She's an excellent producer and a partner in this production here. We also have Christoph Moses, who handles all of our uploading the videos and editing and all transferring stuff like that and downloads and things. And also, too, not just a technical guy, because I think he's an IT professional for work, but he's also an artist and a musician and an incredible guy, and donates his time and his input to this show and to these stations we're on. And I can't thank him enough either. Then we got Keith Davis, who's an amazing guy. Now, Keith, K-I-F, because his parents were hippies. They named him after marijuana. Slang Keith, But Keith is a street activist, man. This is a guy that you got to have a lot of respect. If people know my history, I was a street activist. I was a street protester. I'm kind of an old guy now. I try and do what I can. But Keith is still out there protesting. He goes to the city council in Portland, Oregon, and he goes before them and he shouts them down and he tells them, hey, we need to put a stop to pedophilia, to child abuse, to sexual molestation, to injustice. And if you go to my our Facebook page, the Ed Opperman Facebook page, you can find some videos that Keith has put up where he went to the Portland City Council and they actually edited out his comments and they blacked out the data that he had the transcript at the bottom of the so they actually took City Council hearing minutes and meeting times and they blacked him out of it when he was calling on the City Council and calling them out on not supporting and not doing things to stand up for victims of sexual abuse. So those are the kind of guys we got working here for free for you, because we believe in what we're doing and we try and bring you good content. And I can't thank you enough. I can't tell you how much I thank Dave McGowan for coming on the show. You can find his books, his links to all his book on my my blog, The Opperman Report. I'm Ed Opperman for The Opperman Report. I'm signing out now. I hope you join us next week. We're on at 5 p.m. Pacific time on freedomslips.com, Studio A. And we're also on again on Monday night, 6 p.m. on awake.com, awake.us. And you can find us at either station there. We're going to be doing new content over at awake.us as well on Monday nights in the future. And I'm looking to even join some other networks and some other stations and doing some other new content during the middle of the week. So you won't be able to go a day without hearing my annoying voice. But thank you very much, guys. I love you. I love you, Ann. I love you, Keith. I love you, Christoph. You guys are the best. Our regular callers, guys like Chris Wallace and Bruce McDonald and Joshua Brookshire. You guys, man, I love your input every week. Thank you very much. Once again, Dave McGowan, you're a champ. You're number one. This is a guy I endorse 100%. You can check out his website, Center for an Informed America. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you next week. OppermanReport.com. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Do you like the work that you see us doing here at Opperman Report? You can support that work by becoming a member at OppermanReport.com. And as you have access to over 200 exclusive shows and interviews that you can't find on YouTube or Spreaker or iHeart or iTunes or KYAH. You can't find them anywhere else online, exclusive to our member sections, to our members. Also, too, there's images, videos, documents, court docs, a lot of content there at OppermanReport.com. And it's the memberships that support the Opperman Report and allow us to play these shows for free on Friday nights and Saturday nights on all the stations you hear us on. You can also make a donation at OppermanReport.com. If you want to support the show and become a member, I can give you a discount. I'll give you 13 months for $65 if you email me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can hear your ad played here on the Opperman Report, reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis because the show is repeated every day all over the world. Contact me at OppermanReport@gmail.com and I'll give you a good deal on advertising rates.